Welcome to the Dome Discussions Podcast. Your top source for all things New Orleans Saints. Powered by four voices who live and breathe black and gold. Touchdown! Every hit, every play.
Welcome to the NFL.
Every moment. We've got it covered.
Let's go! Let's go! Go!
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? Appreciate everybody tuning into the Dome Discussions Podcast, presented to you by Being the No Network. I'm your host, Kyle Besson, joined by Nick Jennings, Drew Collins, and Caleb Yacarino. Today, we are previewing the Saints versus Giants Week 5 matchup. The Saints are 0-4 coming off against a loss to the Bills, and the Giants are 1-3 coming off their first win with rookie quarterback Jaxson Dart leading them there right after they benched Russell Wilson. And it was over a good team, too. It was over the Los Angeles Chargers, who have looked pretty good this season. It was mostly the Giants defense, but Jaxson Dart did light up the offense a little bit. They were able to put up 3 touchdowns on the day. What are some things that you guys are looking for in this matchup?
I'm definitely going to be looking at what you just said at the Giants defense. Their pass rush is just dominant. Brian Burns already has 20 total pressures and 4 sacks. Kayvon Thibodeau, 17 total pressures and 3 sacks. Abdul Carter has an 84.6 pass rush grade as a rookie through 3 or 4 games. And then you have Sexy Dexy in the interior. So that's going to be a huge matchup against the Saints. And you already know Cesar Ruiz is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with an ankle injury, which means undrafted free agent Torricelli Simpkins will be starting at right guard. Simpkins has looked good, but that's a lot to ask from an undrafted free agent in his first start, second NFL action. And then Trevor Penning is also dealing with something, and Taliesin Fuaga has been dealing with a knee injury and a back injury this season. So this Saints offensive line has taken some hits already this season, and they're going to have their work cut out for them with probably the best defensive line in the NFL on Sunday.
Yeah, if the Saints offensive line is one injury away from it getting a little scary. I think they probably will survive the Cesar Ruiz injury just because he has not played well this season. And when Simpkins, I said it last week or our last episode, when Simpkins came in against the Bills, the offensive line played better. It really felt like a more complete offensive line. So that's if they're healthy. I'm still worried. But they just cannot have one more injury with a banged-up offensive line, which is definitely a big worry. And, I mean, Dexter Lawrence could have a game. The Saints' running attack could really struggle. You have to worry about just pass rush all the time. I think this was one of those games that I could see, this is bad, but if Spencer Rattler gets injured because he doesn't really, slide a lot or he will go into contact, this was going to be one of those because he's going to get hit a lot, in my opinion, from the defensive line, just beating the tackles at times. With Fuaga being injured and with Kelvin Banks being a rookie, it's going to happen. So that's definitely a worry, but I'm focusing more on the Saints defense. I think Jaxson Dart is my player to focus on because I honestly think, and I'll get to my bold predictions, he's going to have a very big day on the ground. I think he's going to be running a lot. Yes, the Saints' pass defense hasn't been the best, but it also was better when Quincy Riley went in. And I do expect Quincy Riley to play more against the Giants also. But I can still see Jaxson Dart just running a lot, it being a close game, very much like the Chargers game, and the defense really making the Saints' life bad.
Yeah, and I do want to touch on real quick. Quincy Riley actually played 24 snaps on Sunday compared to Isaac Yadam's 12. So that transition does look to be underway.
Mm-hmm. You talked about Jaxson Dart running the ball, and he's an effective runner. The player I'm most focusing on is Cam Scatabo. I mean, Tyrone Tracy's injured, so he's going to have a majority of the workload. Plus, Malik Neighbors just went out with a torn ACL. So Darius Slayton is set to be their wide receiver 1. So I think they're really going to lean on the run game. You saw Arizona State last year. Scatabo's able to take a majority of the workload. So I think we're going to get a heavy dose of him. And, man, he's a hard-hitting bruiser of a back. So this defensive back room, especially linebackers, they're really going to be tested against a hard running back to bring down. If they don't fill the gaps and make secure tackles, Scatabo's going to run all over them. So I think it'll be key to stop the run this game.
Yeah, and real quick, the other thing is the with Malik Neighbors being injured and the Saints worrying about the Giants' defensive line. This could be a very quick game because I think they could just want to run the clock out as fast as they can. Because first, you want both young quarterbacks to kind of have some pressure off of you. Both Brian Daboll and Kellen Moore want that, and then also with the worry of the pass rush of the Giants, and then the Giants not having barely any wide receivers, both teams are just going to want to run the ball. So if this game ends at like I'm on Eastern time, so 3:30 Eastern, like I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a very quick game.
Yeah, and for me, I'm looking on the other side. Obviously, they have a very good pass rush, and whenever a team has a very good pass rush, you have to look behind that, and you have to look at their secondary, right? The Saints are going to have to get the ball out quick. The Giants definitely benefit from their good pass rush, but their secondary isn't that great, right? You got
Debo.
Paulson and
they
Debo revenge
do have
game.
so it's Paulson the Debo, Drew Phillips,
Rico Payton revenge game.
Yeah.
and they Tyler Nubin usually plays quite a bit for them. He didn't practice last week. Wednesday.
Groin injury this week out Wednesday.
Yep. So they're already not that great, and now they're a little short on talent that they have two. Again, something where the Saints are going to have to take on a weaker secondary, and you're going to have to get the ball out quick. I mean, let's be honest, they're going to overload the offensive line. So I don't want to say it's another big chance for Chris Olave. I've said it every week now. Just not going to beat the dead horse there. I'm going to hope they can finally get Chris Olave the ball, but I'm no longer going to say they're going to find success in it. But I just think that's going to be the name of the game is getting the ball out quick. I think Rashid Shaheed actually probably has a bigger role just because of that. RPOs, quick, some things like that. Maybe Devon Vele. We saw it with the slant against, I believe it was the 49ers. Hopefully just get more slants called up anyways, right? I mean, we've seen it in the red zone and it worked. I'd hope we could just start getting the ball into these guys' hands and give them a chance to make a play. And for the offensive line, Dexter Lawrence, I mean, he's one of them, right? Jalen Carter is like one of the only other NFL players that are from the interior that could really pass rush the way he does. And we saw what Jalen Carter did to the Saints last year. I mean, he single-handedly took over that game. So the Saints have to find an answer for Dexter Lawrence. Look, they have some great pass rushers, but if you can't even contain the interior, you can't do anything, right? So they have to find a way to contain Dexter Lawrence, and then you can worry about, going from the inside out. I trust Eric McCoy as long as he stays healthy, but I said it last week. I was like, this is going to be the first time the Saints get their full offensive line healthy out for the season. Well, that didn't last even half a game. So I don't even know if we're going to have Trevor Penning. We might not have Cesar Ruiz. So it's going to be Torres Ellie Simpkins, and then you're going to have to start plugging and playing because you also don't have Dylan Radins either.
Yeah, it can get ugly. It can very ugly. Like, it's Penning. I was very this is also something I said last episode. I was worried about Penning going into the game, obviously, but then he started slow, and then I got very worried. And then Penning bounced back. Like Penning had a very good game last game. The Saints completely missed him in the run game. When they rushed left, it worked. When they rushed right, when Cesar Ruiz was in, it didn't work. And it was just one of those things that was like you saw the difference, and it was amazing to see. So if he's injured, it could get very ugly. Like as I said, this is a low scoring game ready to happen. And the deep passes have been such an important conversation with the Saints because the whole conversation has been like there has been a lack of deep passes, and going from last year where it felt like Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave just ran straight and caught a deep pass nearly once a game to now where that hasn't even happened this season. It's kind of weird. Or it got intercepted by Will Johnson the first game and then got called back. This is not one of those games that's going to happen. If I had to guess that there's going to be 0 deep shots called, it's going to be a lot of intermediate short game running the ball. And then also like one of this units we haven't even talked about is the special teams. I feel like the special teams has really let down the Saints the past 2 games. I know Blake Grupe had a decent kicking game, but he did have the penalty, and it was just there was still some issues that he needed to work out, and this whole special teams is an issue. The Giants, if they win in the special teams, I honestly think they win this game because I think it's going to be that close. And I think the special teams is once again going to be the factor that might cause the Saints to lose, even though they are a favorite in this game.
Yeah,
Kind of
and
sounds like
real
you don't
quick,
expect it to be a duel in a dome from Jaxson Dart and Spencer Rattler. You know, duel in the dome
No, like
part
if
two.
Taysom Hill was playing, then this was the Saints winning, but actually getting the win like when they played 2 years ago. I was there when they lost in overtime. It wasn't fun. So if Taysom Hill was playing, I honestly think the Saints might be able to win just because he just like will make a big play out of nowhere. But no, this is I won't get my score prediction, but not a lot.
yeah, and the Saints definitely have to clean up on special teams. There's no questioning that. The Saints had 4 penalties on Sunday against the Bills, and 3 of them came on special teams. We've mentioned that Phil Galliano was a very respected special teams coach coming into the season, coached at the Senior Bowl. I expected him to have a much better, much more firm grasp on this group by now. It just has been very disappointing, especially because it's been one of the Saints' strong groups for quite some time now. But another area the Saints are going to have to clean up. Last week they cleaned up the third downs. The Bills went 3 of 10 on third down, so that was good to see. You're going to have to start stronger. The Saints' total offensive possessions this season, they have 43. Possessions while trailing, they have 39. Possessions while leading, they have 0. So you're not going to win games if you can't even take a lead. And playing from behind so early is just absolutely making it so much harder for you. And you've seen that. You've seen Spencer Rattler competing his tail off and still not being able to get back into position. So you're going to have to start stronger if you want a chance against the Giants on Sunday.
Real quick, so that means they've allowed the opposing team to score on their first drive ever, right? Well, I guess technically that doesn't have to mean that.
I believe
think they,
On most
yeah,
of
I think
them,
they have.
Yeah, it might have that because it sounds like 4 drives where they haven't been leading. I know last week the first time that no, so they've gotten the ball first plenty of time. Yeah, you know what? That's exactly what it's on because they've gotten the ball first every week, but last week I believe, and then obviously couldn't score last week, and then the Bills took over. Yeah, but whoever was talking a bit ago, it's just something again. You can't let that happen.
I mean, yeah, they're starting off slow, but I also think that can be kind of chalked up to the offense not being able to finish drives when it mattered. You saw against the Bills, they had a chance to take the lead, and it was either the late third or fourth quarter. They had a chance to go ahead and start to try to wind down the clock, but they just couldn't execute in the red zone, couldn't finish a drive, and that's kind of been what we've seen this entire year. They've been each of the first 2 weeks, they were 1 possession away. We chalked that up to a couple of plays. You switch those, and Saints are leading for a lot more drives. So it's just 1 or 2 plays that the offense just has to execute better at.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
two I can think about right away. The Chris Olave one against the 49ers, and then the Brandon Cooks against the Bills. It's the 2 misses that you're just like, wow, if these were hit, game changing. Like
completely.
And I have it in my notes because this is look. Spencer Rattler has actually played like above my expectations. He's not playing out as much. He's playing above my expectation, and he's doing what I said was going to happen in a preseason. Was he's going to be the more decisive quarterback? He's going to get the ball out quick. The problem is he's not hitting on these throws that I'm not saying they're the easiest throws. But he should hit these throws. That's the thing, right? He should hit these throws. He's not hitting on them. And I know people are blaming Olave. I don't think that was much of a catchable ball for Olave. Now, I've seen Juwan Johnson drop 2 balls right to the chest. Don't get me wrong. I've seen this on the receivers as well. But like that miss to Brandon Cooks on Sunday, it's kind of starts it where he's doing everything right, but he's 1 play away from, being able to really secure that job. He misses that throw, and that his job is no longer secure anymore. Tyler Shuck is still breathing down his neck of being the guy to start behind him. I think we're having this conversation anymore, right? But that is the problem is he misses these throws, and then in the red zone from the Philly special and things like that. Again, I'm not blaming the Philly special on Rattler, but I think the Rattler's lack of finding success in the red zone is leading to things like this. He just needs to start hitting on those. That's kind of what it comes down to. The Saints offense hasn't looked terrible, right? But they've only hit over 20 points once this season, right? That in the NFL, you're not going to win a game like that, especially when your defense is allowing 30 points a game.
Yeah, and it's like Rattler is 60% there to being a starting NFL quarterback. Like, do I think he's like top 2015 in the NFL right now? Yes, but the quarterback play is not great right now. So it's not saying much, but I just think like in that 40% gap from being that starting quarterback is just accuracy because he's doing almost everything else you want him to do. And look, like if this was a conversation and he was throwing and the deep plays were in and he was throwing the deep plays and they were just missing sometimes, I don't care about his accuracy on those as much. Those are the harder throws. Yes, hit them here and there, but if you're missing those, okay, you're still young, whatever. But there's like slant routes where he's throwing behind the wide receiver. And that's fine at times to avoid contact because let's be real, these wide receivers do not deal with contact well at times. So I get avoiding that, but like that Brandon Cooks miss, it's not as bad. The Olave miss is even more wide open, but because of the situation, it's way worse. Brandon Cooks was wide open. Watching the game, it was hard to tell, but if you just look back, Brandon Cooks was wide open. It was not. I'm never gonna say it was an easy pass. A quarterback in the NFL doesn't have an easy pass, but it was a makeable pass, and it just was missed. And somehow Brandon Cooks almost made the catch. I don't know how he did, but that's kind of the thing separating. That's been the thing separating Rattler and Shuck. Because I'll tell you right now, Shuck's accuracy in stride, or he would have hit that. But it's just like Tyler Shuck's not ready. And Spencer Rattler just needs to fix that accuracy. And again, that's another thing I said last week. Like if he fits this accuracy, it's a whole nother story for next season.
Yeah, and I would like to kind of go back to what Kyle was saying about Kellen Moore and the offense getting going. Kellen Moore called a heck of a game on Sunday against the Bills. I mean, you have seen immense strides in his improvement from week 1 to now. He's done an excellent job getting a grasp of this offense. And I wanted to point to what the area the Saints are going to need to focus on if they do want to get the offense going. And that's getting Kendre Miller involved again. Kendre Miller leads all NFL backs with an elusive rating of 155.8. In 4 games, he's 12 missed tackles on 28 carries and gained 104 yards of his 124 yards after contact. So he is absolutely balling right now. We're seeing vintage AK in Kendre Miller. If you keep getting him going, honestly, get them both going. Get that 1-2 punch established. That would be huge for the offense, especially with Taysom Hill coming back. This run game could really get going and set the tone for the rest of the season for New Orleans.
The run game is already 10th in the NFL right now with their yards per game. I think it's 124, I believe I was looking up. So they've been effective running the ball. They just need to keep at it. I mean, you've seen the Seattle Seahawks game. That number is still inflated because they couldn't really run the ball in that game because they were down 21-0 in the first quarter. So I think they just need to really focus on running the ball down the Giants' throats. If you let Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence pin their ears back and rush the passer, Spencer Rattler is going to get hit 20 times this game. You need to establish a run game to even just slow them down at the bare minimum.
Yeah, and Nick, you said it because I can talk about it. I saw a picture of Taysom Hill at practice, and I immediately was filled with excitement. I'm so ready to watch some Taysom Hill football again, right? But he does a lot of things for the running game as well. Like, I mean, you no longer have to have Spencer Rattler out there, taking the tush push. You have a play that has worked for you for years, and that's just QB power with Taysom Hill. And I that has been electric. I mean, that play that you're trying to get 2 yards on has gained the Saints like 50 at a time, right? He is a different athlete, obviously coming off a really bad leg injury, and we'll have to see how he is. But if he's even half of who he was from that, right, the Saints have one hell of a Swiss Army knife, right? And then I'm not going to talk about Kendre Miller because I can talk about Kendre Miller forever. That has been my player crush on the team. So I'm just going to stick to the Saints have a good running room. You have a good way to run the ball because you have Taysom Hill, you have Kendre Miller, and you have Alvin Kamara. You just have to find a way to make it fit. That's going to be in Kellen Moore's offense, but they have found a way last week. That was the first week where both Kendre and AK had double-digit carries, right? So they finally were like, hey, let's, Alvin Kamara's 30 years old. Let's not make him run the ball 20 times. And look how well that went. So, I'm happy to see that they're finally giving Kendre his snaps. And when I keep wanting to call him Trevor Penning. When Taysom Hill comes back, you'll be even more set up.
And right, Taysom Hill 35 years old, mind you. So
Oh, yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see how well he comes back if he's his explosive self after that knee injury, because he tore multiple ligaments in that knee, and that's his third serious knee injury in his career. So it'll be interesting to see if he can come back to his true form. And I think it's also worth noting Foster Moreau has been activated as well, the team's best blocking tight end. That could really improve the run game as well. Kellen Moore stressed the importance of having Foster Moreau on the roster this offseason. So I'm really looking forward to having those two guys back. John Ridgeway also returned to practice, who's on IR.
And they were limited too, so it's like there's a chance. I don't know if they actually do, but there's a chance. And I mean, they could just be trying to like slowly get them into the game and not, so they might not play. But there is a chance. And let me just say, one of the most electric plays in football is Taysom Hill trucking a linebacker. Right, that gets your offense going every time. And we've seen the stat. I can't tell you the exact stat, but it's if Taysom Hill gets 7 carries a game, the Saints are like 9-3 or something, right? I think that gives you a clear formula of what you should do, and that's give Taysom Hill the ball. But I think we're ready to move on to trivia. Does anybody else have anything else that they want to say? All right. So today's trivia, I give you guys a cool nickname for the guy later because I just found out. I just remembered it, really. I kind of remember. All right, so it's going to be Broncos from 2015 to 2017, the Jets in 2019, the Saints in 2021, the Bears in 2022, and then Jets again in 2023. I will say these are all teams that he took a snap on. He was on other teams, but these are all teams that he has a stat on. Let me know if you
What
need
was
to
the
go.
first one?
Also, I just realized I said the years already.
Is it Benny Fowler?
It is not Benny Fowler.
What was the first team again?
He was Broncos.
Broncos.
I also
So
told
Broncos,
you guys the
Jets,
years.
Saints.
Broncos, Jets, Saints, and then the Bears and Jets.
All I can think of is Sheldon Rankins. I know it's not him. Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, Sheldon Rankins. I think
He played for the
started with
Texans a
Saints.
lot.
Broncos, Jets.
That's the.
Let me know if you need me to go over years again, since I kind of.
I think I got the time frame, but we might need position.
Oh, let me know when you guys want position.
I mean, if Nick's asking for it, we all
Might
are.
position.
It's quarterback.
Broncos, Jets.
Trevor Simeon.
It is Trevor Simeon. T Money Sizzle.
No.
Trevor
No.
Money. T Money.
I try to forget about him.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't get that one.
We got one.
Yeah, T Money Sizzle, Trevor Simeon. Yeah, that's 100% a nickname that apparently we called him. It was the Saints that started the team.
The game that
remember
he started,
your
I did not.
It
call
was
him
not
that.
me. I will tell you that right now.
It wasn't when he
not
was
call him
starting.
that.
I will also tell you that right now.
Oh, you guys weren't watching that and watching him throw? What,
I was
went 0-4
watching
against
it,
the
just
Saints?
not happy watching it.
Yeah, I watched it.
I think he was 0-4 as a starter for us.
Yeah.
I think he was the first backup
Wasn't
quarterback
good.
on the Saints to not find success. But to be fair, there's a couple times he played well and just kind of sucked.
He played well against the Bucks. I'm pretty sure when Jameis tore his ACL.
Yeah,
Oh.
he
Like,
did. He actually
when he
won
went
that game.
in, he played well.
Yeah,
That
we did
Halloween
win that
game was.
game. I still think about that game. It's
Yeah.
been so long since I saw a game-winning interception. I love watching highlights of that game. Shout
I
out
feel
PJ
that
If
Williams.
Jameis
Jameis was healthy that season, oh,
Okay,
Jameis MVP.
that would have been fun. That would have been such a fun season.
all right, let's move on. Sorry, this is a little shorter episode. We're gonna get our final and bold predictions. We all woke up on time, obviously, and started recording this. Trust me. So let's get into our final and bold predictions, right? So I'm gonna kind of just start us off with my final and bold predictions that I don't have written down. So I'm gonna go off the top of my head here. The Saints don't allow a sack. I don't know. That sounds real bold, right? Top one I could come off with my head. I can see it happening though, right? Okay.
That is bold.
If you're going off of playing against a fast pass rush, you have a game plan for it. So I'm gonna say the Saints game plan around it, and get the ball out quick. I think there's gonna be a lot of running in this game, kind of like Caleb said. So kind of set up, and I hope I'm just going to my other bold prediction. I hope that sets up finally getting that Rashid Shaheed deep touchdown that we have been waiting for.
Yep.
I've been waiting to see it, and that is Rashid Shaheed's game, and he hasn't had the chance to really do it. I don't know why, they could be taking it away. I mean, he was lethal through 4 games last year. I think he's done it. He did it against the Cowboys, the Panthers, and the Chiefs, and that's all within at least a 5-week span, right? So obviously something that teams like taking note of, and then he got hurt. And then for my final predictions, wow. I mean, if you don't get sacked, you have to score a little bit, right? I'm gonna go Saints 24. Do I do it? They're favorites now. It's not great. I'm gonna go Saints 24, Giants 14. Look, Jaxson Dart looked pretty well in his rookie debut. That's usually how it goes, right? Okay, you usually look pretty good, and then the week later you come back to reality. So I'm gonna have the Saints defense kind of contain Jaxson Dart, which is gonna be a problem. He is a runner. He's a big threat as a runner. We saw it, him and Cam Scatterbo. I mean, that's a culture to have, right? Those two guys just they're putting their body on the line every damn run. Okay, that's one hell of a culture to have. But I think the Saints could hold them to 14 points. Again, the Saints are allowing 30 points a game, so that is kind of bold as well. But them hold them 14 points and then come out with a 10-point victory.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. One of my bold predictions was that Rashid Shaheed finally hauls in a 40-plus yard bomb. We've been waiting to see it, and I finally think this will be the week. My second prediction would be that Kool-Aid McKinstry grabs his first career interception after a really bad week. Through 4 games this season, he's got 3 missed tackles, 2 penalties conceded, while allowing 12 receptions on 16 targets for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's gotten off to a really slow start. Jaxson Dart had some comments on the Saints this week regarding them passing him up in the draft. Said he had a really good meeting with the team, but there's no place he'd rather be in New York. So I think he's going to come out with a chip on his shoulder, which means he's going to be slinging it. And I think that if he's slinging it, that means the Saints grab one on him. And I'm hoping that it's Kool-Aid McKinstry because he really needs this confidence builder. I mentioned it last episode. He started slow at Alabama, so it's not really a big deal. He's in a new scheme. So I do think he will get it together. And then for my final prediction, I have Spencer Rattler rushing for over 40-plus yards once again. Last week had 6 rushes for 49 yards and really emphasized scrambling drills in the week prior in practice. So it looks like the Saints are really trying to get him to use his feet, and it's worked. It's been successful. So I think that is another thing we see on Sunday against the Giants. And for my final score prediction, I'm going to go Saints 21, Giants 17. Like I said, Jaxson Dart, he looked good. I said this last episode. He looked great against the Chargers, beat the unbeaten Chargers. But like you said, Kyle, it's usually how it goes when it's followed up by a poor performance for a rookie quarterback. So I expect the Saints to get the best of them. And look, Carl Granderson, 4.5 sacks, 5th in the NFL in sacks. He is still blossoming into one of the league's top pass rushers. I think he will give the Giants some trouble. It's really been good to see Carl Granderson continue to develop, especially without Chase Young out there. Granderson looks to be one of the league's premier pass rushers at this point.
I want to go real quick before anyone else goes. Randomly popped up on my thing as I was looking at it. You know how you guessed Benny Fowler for trivia? He made T Money Sizzle. That's where that name came from. So
there you go.
He is actually the one that came up with T Money Sizzle for Trevor Siemian. I was looking over the left of my monitor to get some stats, and I for
So
sure
he's
saw
to
that.
blame.
Spent time with each other in Denver and New Orleans, so it makes sense.
All right. I think it's Drew or Caleb. Why don't you tell us our predictions now?
Yeah. So I have 2 bold predictions. My first one is going back to the defense, kind of like what Nick said, both a different player. I think Jonas Sinker gets his 2nd interception of the season. I think he gets another one. Kind of rare, but I really think it's going to happen. I mean, Jaxson Dart. I like Jaxson Dart in the draft process, but I also know that if he is out of scheme, it could get a little crazy. And I think he can get out of scheme in this game. I don't know if it's going to go perfectly for the Giants, so I think he might need to play a little bit of hero ball at times, which could, if we go back to the Florida Ole Miss game, could get a little crazy and result in 4 interceptions. So I think Jaxson Dart does throw at least 1 interception in this game. But my other prediction is back to Jaxson Dart that he's going to rush for near 100 yards this game. I think it's going to be a pure rushing attack for the Giants. And Jaxson Dart is a very good rusher. He was arguably the best rusher in this past draft class from the quarterbacks. And I really think the Saints defensive line is going to struggle. I know the Giants defense line is not good. And that's going to be the saving grace in this game. But if the Giants just keep running the ball, which the Saints haven't done well dealing with, it could get a little scary. For final score, I've made a rule for myself that I'm not going to pick the Saints win until they win. So I say the Giants are going to win 20-10, with this possibly being Spencer Rattler's last game of the season.
And I
Okay.
would like to say real quick, Jalen Milrow
you
would
go.
like to have a word about that best rushing quarterback in the class.
Forgot
Yeah.
about Jalen Milrow, not going to lie, but
Yeah.
very close to the top.
Okay. So my predictions, I got one on off, or I mean technically two on offense, I guess. But Caleb didn't say it this week. I feel like I got to keep the tradition going. The Saints need to run the ball. Why not activate them? 3 running back set. Devin Neal scores a touchdown. He's that in between the tackles. If he's active, he's scoring this week. And then I guess I have another one for offense. I'm going Rico Payton's going to be, or not Rico Payton, Paulson Adebo is going to be coming out for a revenge game. He's going to be hyper aggressive, and Saints are going to catch him on it, whether it's a double move or just a deep shot. I think Paulson Adebo is going to get a 40-plus yard touchdown on his head. I think he's going to give that up, and the Saints will score on a deep, whether it's Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Brandon Cooks, someone like that is going to get one on Paulson Adebo. And then
Or he gets
final,
2 pass interference calls.
I was going to say.
something like that. Like he's getting a pass interference call. He's getting targeted deep this game. I'm pretty sure of that. And then final prediction. I predict the Saints scoring like 2 touchdowns. So I'm hopeful this week. I don't think, especially after losing Malik Neighbors, it's probably false hope, but I'm going Saints 17, Giants 14. Saints win close in a low scoring battle.
I was hoping to try to convince you to go away from it so we can do a 2-2 split and not put the bad luck out there. But we'll see, right? We're favored for the first time.
Adebo, I did want to touch on that. Caleb made a great point. Paulson Adebo, through his 4 years in New Orleans, ranked top 5 in defensive pass interference penalties. So the Saints need to take advantage of that on Sunday. It hasn't been a problem for him this season in New York, but that doesn't mean it's still not there, because that was definitely a feature of his, and you can definitely exploit that.
That doesn't even count all the holding penalties.
Exactly.
Every time you get a crucial stop, flag.
He's back in the dome.
Also,
Anything
for
can
holding.
happen.
Yep.
It's going to revert to his old ways.
Bring it out of him.
And I might change mine so the Saints only allow like 1 or 2 sacks. I kind of thought about it a little bit long. I don't know. I don't know if they could go 0. I don't know if you could game plan that much. Look, and I was kind of upset last week that I wasn't able to make it for the episode to talk about Jonas Sanker. We're gonna wrap this up real soon, but I didn't get to talk about Jonas Sanker. You know what? And that kind of makes me think for this week, you saw something of Quincy Riley as well. You saw like glimpses of hope and potential out of your young guys. So maybe we see a little bit of Danny Stutzman in this game. That's another guy that we've been thinking of, right? Danny Stutzman. I'd like a full, a young slate out there of guys that are just, you want to see it out of them. I mean, if there's a team to do it against, it's the Giants, who haven't been doing that well. And look, I don't need to see Danny Stutzman out there.
They're about doing the same thing. They're a bunch of young guys too.
Exactly. So I mean, this is a game for the future for both teams. I mean, they got like I said, Jaxson Dart, Scatabo. Like, look, they have a lot of young guys out there. Maybe you could play. And this is mostly your defense, right? Danny Stutzman, Quincy Riley, Jonas Sanker. Look, I talk about Jonas Sanker because that interception was flashes of Marcus Williams when you could run single high and he covered the whole field. People don't really realize how good Marcus Williams was when he was at that single high and you had full field coverage, right? You could run any type of scheme that you wanted with that. You could send as many guys. No, look, Jonas Sanker only had one, and well, he actually had a few good plays, and they were not back to back, right? But he has one good game, so you can't just base it off of that. But if he starts showing that he can do that. Yeah, and then he did have. Well, I mean, the pick in preseason was a little bit of a bobble up, but he had it, right, and you can't take that away from him.
He's a ball hawk.
And that's not really what he was known for in college either. That's kind of what he's developing into, right? He was this big hitter, strong tackler. If he develops into a ball hawk, right, we're gonna have our own Jalen Hurts in the backfield, okay? But does anybody else have anything that they want to say before we go ahead and end this one up? All right, so that's this episode 25, I believe. Yep. I think we talked about it. Make sure you guys tune in to. I know we kind of teased it last week. I don't know if we're gonna do it this week. For a potential live show after the game on Sunday. If not, it'll still be uploaded, or if so, it'll still be uploaded to YouTube on Monday. You guys have a good one.